Hi families, my name is Aubrey with Manifest Academy. I just wanted to take a moment and share with you how Manifest Academy started. Manifest Academy started back in 2013 when I had my first child. We didn't know he had a disability off the bat. We found out 4 months after the fact. And his diagnosis is septal-optic dysplasia, which in layman's terms means that he was just born with blindness. That's another way of saying he was born with blindness. There's infinite amounts of disabilities that relate to blindness, but that was his. And what happened was we searched all over the city that we currently live for resources, and we were very limited on what we had available to us. I have very awesome parents, and my parents did a couple things. They told me, okay, don't worry about going to school, don't worry about going to work, just sit home, figure out what your son needs, and we'll take care of the rest. And I didn't realize how much of a blessing that really was, because being a parent of a child with any kind of disability, you're left with two impossibles. The first impossible is helping your child learn, and the next impossible is providing financially to help your child learn. They're both catch-22s. It's kind of hard to find care for your child that's born with a disability because a lot of private companies and organizations have a liability clause, and it's make it break it for you financially. So when my parents said, okay, stay home, don't worry about anything, just focus on his future, that was a win for him. When I found out there wasn't that many resources available in my city, I decided to be his best resource. So I went back to school for early childhood education, and I learned how to care for children that were not like my son. I had to take that curriculum that I learned and turn it inside out and see how it worked for blindness. So I was going to school by day and then working with my son at night. It wasn't until he was older I started noticing that he had issues with reading and he has some issues with mathematics. In the process, as he was starting to grow, I started helping other people in my family, and they started to grow. And then word got around, and then now I have several students that I service who are also growing and learning. And it all started with me just wanting to help my son with the resources we had at our disposal. So what Manifest Academy is a blueprint for you guys, so that way you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time, because that could be very exhausting. So that's how we started, and we're committed to helping your child succeed and grow. Why the name Manifest Academy? I know some of y'all thinking, well, of all the names, why Manifest Academy? So as all parents do, I had a hard time coping with having a child with disability, to be honest, because let's talk about this elephant in the room, right? When you have a child that's born different, the first thing out of people's mouth is, what did you do? How did you carry him? What were you around? What was your environment? And that's not always the case. You have doctors trying to test you for genetics, just to see if you're going to have more children like that in the future. And it's just, I think that the whole society needs to just take a break and let parents cope, right? Let us process that information. And what happened was, I was in distress. As a mom, I was in distress because I was like, well, what happened? And I kept searching for the why. And I started looking into books and reading about Helen Keller and reading about just different people that had children that were visually impaired and what they did. And I came across a story with Helen Keller's dad and how he searched 8 years to find a cure for her, not to find one. And I didn't want to be looking for a cure and then I missed out on the most important thing, which is teaching him. So I was in distress and I had called my pastor, and I had a hard time because we're devout Christians, and I had a hard time with it. And he told me to go to John 9, and it talks about the blind man and how he was sitting down on begging, and the disciples came by and they immediately accused his parents, right? Just like how I was feeling, like, who's sin, this man or his parents? And he was born blind. It's like, why are those the only options? Why is sin the only option? So Jesus was like, of course I'm paraphrasing, but Jesus said, neither this man nor his parents sinned, but that my work will be made manifest in him. And it hit me, and it wasn't the fact that, because I was working, right? I was working at helping him with reading, helping him with math, helping him with literacy, helping him eat, helping him crawl, just like you would do with any other typical child, but it just took a little bit longer for him to get it, which was not an issue. But the word manifest comes from, work. It's a lot of work. I ain't gonna lie. It's a lot of work being a special ed mom or a parent of a child that has a disability. Like, it's work, but the work pays off. And that's why we're called Manifest Academy, because we believe that it's not what we want, it's not what I want, it's not what dad wants, it's not what us as parents want for our kids. It's what God placed on the inside of them. Yeah, but we have our younger son, and to see the fight that he had to be alive was breathtaking. There's things that kids go through that us as parents don't find out until after the fact, right? Not because we're not good parents, not because we're not watching, not because we're not keeping up with their appointments, but just because they just have to go through that. So I said all that to say this. Manifest Academy, the name came from watching the work that we put in as parents and seeing the proof of that work. So we believe that God has instilled to them to be whatever they're going to be, and what they're going to turn out to be is going to be truly extraordinary. So we have children varying from all levels at Manifest Academy. We have children that are just needing that extra push and that extra help, and we also have students that are trying to get ahead, whether they are trying to learn more in math, or they're trying to brush up on their reading and writing skills. It's not only to help keep you from getting behind, but it's also to propel you forward. Okay, so where is Manifest Academy going? Well, right now we have a few programs going on. We have our tutoring services, which is one-on-one. Sometimes it's 2-to-1, 3-to-1, depending on the need. So we have that for reading. For reading, we have reading strategies and math with algebra focus. So if you have a child any age, or even if you're an adult and you need help with that algebra, just come in and you can sign up. For children that have a hard time with reading, if they need I don't like to call it intervention, but if they need that extra help with reading, with phonemic awareness, having a hard time spelling words out and sounding them out, we have that program as well. We are also doing parent trainings. Our parent trainings are once a month, and it's a candid approach. It's really not sitting down listening to somebody lecture for an hour and no input. We have a real candid approach. We do have experts that come in that talk about topics that are related to what you are currently going through, so that way you can get a direct answer and a truthful answer, so there's no searching around looking for resources on your own. After the training, you do get lots of goodies, whether it's whatever we have going on, whether it's a book or whether it's a Connect. The other thing that we have launched is our virtual preschool. That registration is currently open, and it ends April 30th, 2021. So there's very limited spots available, but if you have a child that's between the ages 4 and 5, this would be the opportunity. And the goal is to help combat what's been going on in our country, from the current pandemic to random snowstorms to, you name it. There's a lot of fear and everything going on in our world, but our children are the future and their education matters. So getting them in, they'll be able to interact with other kids. And if you miss it, it is recorded. So you'll have time to go in and look at that video. And it's not a 6 hour, 8 hour spiel. It's 1 hour of targeted practice in reading and math. And I know I'm gonna be a blessing to you because it's a blessing to my kids. Our biggest goal is building the community, our community of parents. Whether you have a child that's disabled or not, whether you have a child that has a disability or not, whether you have a child that's typical or not, it's a community that we're building to help foster relationships and bring the community together. Yes, we're in San Antonio, but we're not limited to San Antonio. I have clients from anywhere from the county lines of Uvalde to the state of Louisiana. So you do not have to be locally here in San Antonio to receive services because everything is virtual and remote. The reason why it's so important for us to build the community is when I first had my oldest, and I'm going to keep referencing my oldest, right? Because that's what happens when you have a first kid. You learn things so new. And we were the only ones, right? We were the only ones in the family that had that issue. So there was no blueprint. I was the blueprint. So when we found out he was blind, there was not a lot of moms I could talk to. There was very few professionals I could talk to. And I just didn't know what I didn't know. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Okay? If you're sitting at home and you're thinking about, I have this child that is blind, or I have this child that has a disability, there is help. We have resources that can point you in a positive direction. And even if that direction doesn't end with Manifest Academy, you still will have some help. That's just the bottom line. There's too much out here not to be connected. That's what our future holds, is just building that community and being positively talking about it. Your child, and even if you don't, give us a call. Go to our website, manifest-academy.com, to just browse our website, look into our virtual preschool, look into our tutoring service offerings, and see if it will be a good fit for you. I just want to thank you so much for tuning in. We are going to be making more videos about what we're currently offering in the future, and I can't wait to see you in class. I can't wait to see you in our trainings, and I hope that you all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.